All
That's
right.
funny.
That was great. That was great. I love Stash.
Holy cow.
He is a legend, literally. That's just
It
the way
is.
it is. Hopefully I hear from him later tonight that he's
No, like
okay.
seems like a legit Dos Equis guy. I love people like that.
I'm a little scared right now that we might not hear from him later. Okay. All right. So Fire Emblem thoughts. Let's go around for a moment. I glanced over. You were glancing at it a little bit, Eric. You got any thoughts on Fire Emblem? You were just double checking.
Yeah, watching it again.
It looks like shit. Worst game ever.
Yeah, totally.
So what I was saying though is it's got big shoes to fill, and if anybody can do it, it's Intelligent Systems. But man, Three Houses was just such a vibe, generational game, literally three substantially meaty campaigns for the price of $60, like the classic paper rock scissors gameplay. I'm thinking back to like Genealogy of the Holy War, which is one of my favorites back on the Super Nintendo, right? And kind of getting that kind of emotional story that you kind of saw with there. It was really good. It was like coming home playing that game. So hopefully this Fire Emblem is even a third as good, and I'd be happy.
Okay. Josh, got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, when I saw it initially, I was just like this. So there was an element of like this is not the heavy hitter I was hoping for, right? But, and it's only because it's on me. I have not spent enough time with this series that like I should have. And so it has me wanting to go back, finish Three Houses. I'm a decent way into Three Houses, but I mean, there's like you were just saying, you could play it multiple times, right? And so it's one of those things, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm glad, because we literally talked about it on the podcast last night with the rumors that it was being shelved, and then all of a sudden it was like the One More Thing game. It was like, okay, I'm glad it's still around. You know what I mean? So, and it's like, I think at the end of the day, with a healthy Nintendo, this is what we can expect to see. Some of their non-heavy hit, they don't need everything right away. Like we were saying, they can do some of these a bit more niche titles, and it's gonna be great. Like it's gonna be fantastic. And so I really do love the look and the style of it. Seeing it basically look very modern, and even the attacks and everything, it just like it did sell me. It really did sell me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Tiger time.
Yeah, no. So I feel like Fire Emblem has always had this crazy ability to create good characters, even back on like the first Fire Emblems. I remember playing Sacred Stones, the GBA game.
Ah, yes.
All the time. Yeah, I love that game. And I feel like the series has always had this really special ability to just like create awesome characters that if I let them die or if they died, I was always tempted to restart. And there was like that moral battle of like, do I do this and kind of ruin the purity of my playthrough because I love this character so much. And so that's why when they went to Path of Radiance with the GameCube, it was like, holy cow, this is so cool. This is 3D. They can do even better storytelling. And then with Three Houses, obviously, I feel like everything just peaked, and Fire Emblem met kind of the potential I always saw, even in like those little cute little 2D sprites on Sacred Stones in the early Fire Emblems. Three Houses just blew me away for that reason. And they kind of took like the best of Persona and what they'd already created with Fire Emblem. And so when I was watching Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, I kind of found myself thinking a lot about Metaphor, actually. Metaphor ReFantasio. It seems like just like this shot here, even it kind of looks like it has that same kind of grand scale to it. You know, this actual Colosseum looking place looks exactly like a scene in Metaphor. I can't remember the exact moment in the game, but where you're kind of being judged in some way, and Luis is kind of overlooking you, looking down at you. You're kind of at the base of the Colosseum, and this looks exactly like Metaphor, and that's kind of where my head went without even thinking of Fire Emblem, interestingly. And that's definitely a compliment. You know, I think if they can keep on building on the relationship stuff that they started with Three Houses and how cool that was, as well as having kind of the branching storylines and just like seeing him walking around, the graphics, the art style looks beautiful.
The city looks so huge.
Yeah, the city looks huge. The amount of stuff that are actually going on the screen, just like even in the actual battles themselves, looks so cool and fluid. Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this. It looks like everything I've wanting in the next Fire Emblem. I mean, the one thing we haven't really seen that much of, obviously, is how the social systems are going to work or whether they're going to try to be as ambitious as they were with the storylines. But I love how the battlefields look. They look very, interesting. There's a lot of verticality there. The movement looks cool. Just all these little cutscenes when you're battling, it all looks really awesome. So yeah, no, I'm loving what I'm seeing. It just looks like Fire Emblem plus like more of those kind of Atlas style elements that they're hopefully going to incorporate more of. So yeah.
Just noticed too, it looks like we're getting a guest shot from Alucard in this game too, which you don't get that every day.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Look at that guy. He's a dead ringer.
Yeah. No, I mean, just like these cutscenes, it looks pretty hardcore. That kid was potentially being beheaded. That guy right there kind of has a Louis vibe from Metaphor to him. So yeah, I'm excited.
What were we thinking over there, Zoo?
Yeah, I mean it looks really good. I guess the only thing, to kind of add on it, I like Fire Emblem a lot. It's just one of those things where, as far as ending a direct, I feel like it's better as an opener than a closer. And again, I love direct, but just looking at it from the business perspective, is this going to sell consoles? And no. So
yeah, see, it's interesting because it's a 2026 game. So like, and they didn't say like spring, like they said with so many other titles. So this is probably second half of next year. And so I think about that, and doesn't necessarily have to be the system seller when it comes out. Like there'll be other games announced coming next year. Gen 10 Pokemon.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting into before Stash showed in. So we've got another direct. Nintendo's got one more direct to solidify the reputation of the Switch 2 in year one. So after year one, consoles kind of get locked into a little bit of a reputation. So this is such a vital period. So hopefully we see some stuff in the next, general direct that, will be a system seller or something like that. But, it's just one of those things where I'm hoping to see something that's going to be that mass market hit. And here's the thing, could be something we don't even know about. Nintendo does that all the time. Wii Sports, things of that nature. So
yeah,
could be something we don't even know about. Could be a new mass market appealing game. But it's just I remember back to E3 2017 and what a banger that was. And we got everything from games like Xenoblade 2 and Shin Megami Tensei 4 to here's some more on Mario Odyssey. Here's DLC for Breath of the Wild. Like it was a bangerang. And looking at it at the same time this year, it just, I don't know. I get concerned from the business perspective more than the personal perspective. I like these games. I just don't know if anybody beyond the Nintendo enthusiast is going to like these games.
I think about the business perspective because I bring this up a lot on my live streams and a little bit in my videos. I don't usually dive too much into it because in the end, as like Nintendo fans are reporting on news, like the business perspective, that's for Nintendo to worry about, not us, right? Like, as long as I'm satisfied, I'm good.
Oh, me too. I'm a fucking business dork. So
the business side matters a lot. Like for me, like I remember you rated the thing like a D from a business perspective. I kind of feel like I felt this way so far this year, and I feel like this now. That obviously the Switch 2 has been selling incredibly well. We'll see what the next financial report does. We'll see what it says.
Mario Kart alone, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mario Kart was the right choice. So.
Yeah, and we'll see what it says after the holidays. My whole thing is like, if Switch 2 continues to sell incredibly well, like if Nintendo hits their 15 million mark for the end of this fiscal year, with the current lineup they have right now, which I would call kind of like their B to B plus stuff. It's not their A. Everyone talks about it banger lineup. It's kind of like, no, these are all really, really good games, but they're not the kind of traditional system sellers. If they somehow hit 15 million while this is what they're throwing out there, which by the way, I'm really excited by this stuff. That to me actually bodes really well. And it might have actually been a smarter business decision, saving some of the big, because we think about the pop Breath of the Wild got, the pop that Mario did, the pop even Smash got. Well, imagining those games coming slightly later in the gen could actually help extend the generation even longer than we're used to. Because if they can maintain the momentum until those games, we already know those games will probably pop even bigger because there's already, a 30 plus million install base by the time that comes out. So it's curious to me, like from a business perspective of, yeah, this feels weird, but if Switch 2 keeps selling incredibly well, then maybe it's not so weird and Nintendo knows what they're doing.
So there is some wisdom to what you're saying, right? So
yeah.
The main thing of it though is video games are a momentum based business. So if they can maintain that momentum, certainly. But generally speaking, it's hard to maintain momentum without some kind of a mega seller, right? So the other thing to look at is you can sell hardware, but if you're not selling software, that's almost as bad, if not worse, because then we all lose, including the games industry, gamers. So the question becomes, how good are third-party sales? We know first-party sales are going to be fine, but how good are third-party sales? And if the third-party sales hold up and increase, we could be looking at the ability to sustain that momentum until we get to that heavy hitter.
Yeah,
if they dry up, if the Switch falls to disinterest, for example, its greatest competitor, which I will always say is the Switch 1. It's not fucking Steam Deck. It's not going to be the $1,000 Xbox fuck you system. It's going to be the Switch 1. You have to convince Switch 1 gamers that this is worth the hardware increase in an economically tumultuous, geopolitically tumultuous period when honestly the games industry overshot the market 2 fucking generations ago. So, the question becomes, one, is Switch 2 an overshot? If it is, it's not as much as the others. So it's always compared to what, which is the economist question. And if it's an overshot, can you convince enough people to jump on board? Or are they good enough on Switch 2 and they're going to ride out some of this tumultuous period and the whole game industry takes an egg? There's much more at stake than just Nintendo, because Microsoft's not interested in expanding the audience. Sony's not interested in expanding the audience. You know damn well PC's not. So Nintendo is the only company that ever has an interest in disruptive innovation, blue ocean strategy, the things that led to the success of things like the Switch and the Wii. And for them to potentially abandon that in favor of going to the specs increase and going red ocean and going sustaining innovation, I get why they did it. The Switch was a monumental success.
Yeah, you can't abandon, obviously.
Yeah, and it was probably the right move in this particular macroeconomic conditions. But the danger of a sustaining innovation is they almost always underperform the disruptive innovation. And it worries me, not just for Nintendo, but for gaming, because if the Nintendo Switch doesn't expand the audience, nothing's going to. We're just stuck.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like the consoles are probably overall shrunk over the years.
They have.
Like I know you talk about PC hasn't really expanded or anything. Well, PC gaming is more popular than it's ever been. It's one of the single largest video game audiences in the world.
It's because it's cannibalizing consoles.
Well, it's also, I think, because of Asia. Like consoles weren't allowed to be sold for a long time there, and it really led to the rise of PC. And obviously,
and look at like emerging markets, like Thailand, or not Thailand, but look at Turkey, look at Saudi Arabia. Any markets that are expanded markets, which consoles could expand into, get swooped up by PC so quickly. It's a real problem.
Sure. And it's interesting that we talk about this. Meanwhile, PlayStation 5 is on pace for another 100 million. We know Switch has, is one of the best selling systems of all time. Switch 2 just had the fastest selling launch ever in the history of game. It kind of feels like things really
got to be careful with fastest selling. That's for
it's fastest selling at the moment. That might literally change when we get the next financial update. But it's interesting because I think what Nintendo wants, and I'm just going to be honest, and I think Switch 2 is their attempt to do it, is they don't care about expanding. They care about maintaining. They want to be like PlayStation and be consistently at 100 million every single time. I also think for them, it's really hard because they just brought both their divisions together where it's a handheld and home console. It's really hard to leave that when that's always been especially handheld wise, that's always been their major success. Their worst selling handheld is 75 million.
They did a terrific job on Switch. Terrific job.
Yeah. So it obviously price is a big thing some people talk about. Obviously, maybe it's pricing this up. Out of that, of course, we live in different economic conditions today where everything's going up. PlayStation 6 might be $1,000. So like, it's just kind of the way the world is going, that everything gets more expensive. Obviously,
and that's the only hope. Again, it's the economist's question. Yes, it's an overshoot the market. But again, if they overshot the market, Sony and Microsoft super overshot the market. And so they can ask the question, hey, compared to what? And we're still the family-friendly option in the new normal, right?
Yeah, and then can they get the Switch 2 Lite that eventually comes out? Can they somehow get that price point around $300, which I think is the sweet spot to reinvigorate the lower end of the market that wants something more affordable? And I know, guys, I know that's $100 more than Switch Lite, guys, but like, well, not today because Switch Lite went up in price in the US, but I think that like that's kind of a sweet spot, because I think the dream of $200 systems, I think that's kind of in the past. Like the economy can't maintain a $200 system. It's just not profitable. It's just,
not if they want to continue to increase the specs and the processing power. And again, that's been my it was Iwata's proposition back in the Nintendo Wii, as he said, hey, gaming is not growing. Console gaming is not growing, guys. All that it's doing is it's riding the macroeconomic trends of population growth, more income, emerging markets. If the macroeconomics go into reverse, gaming will follow that reverse. And that proposition was rejected by the third parties. And look what happened in 2008. Over 250 development studios closed while Nintendo was able to ride it out. It was a bad time. Nintendo made the right call. So Nintendo said at the time, they said, all of this HD development, it's too expensive, guys. We've overshot the market. Most gamers don't care about processing and graphics. They care about good quality games. If we can deliver that, then we don't have to spend all the money going after the obsessive freaks known as hardcore gamers that care about this stuff. We can appeal to the mass market. And they did a great job of doing that before the Wii U. Going right back into sustaining innovation mode.
So speaking of the business side, I think this is a good time to bring up this aspect that was after the show. How do we think about the prices on some of this stuff out there?
I feel better about it. I feel better about it now that I know it's 4K.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we talk about Galaxy 1 and 2. Yeah, it's $70, but you get 4K on Switch 2. You get both games. Obviously, you break it down, $35 a game. I've seen a lot of arguments today, like, oh, it was $10, per one on Wii U. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, Wii U, they were desperate. Can we just be like frank? Nintendo was in desperate times.
For sure.
Yeah. Like they had to do anything they could to try to sell anything at that time. They're not in those desperate times. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, Galaxy 2 and 4K, that's not worth $35. What the fuck are you talking about? Ain't worth $30.
Yeah, totally.
Game Bird earlier was telling us it's like the greatest Mario game ever. Like, what are we doing? Like,
from the perspective of the investor, so I'm a consumer. I'm not an investor. If I were an investor, they're doing exactly the right thing. They are trying to price exactly the maximum someone can pay. So they're doing their fiduciary responsibility when they do that. It is up to consumers to set that boundary. And here's the thing: regardless of what anybody says on the internet, positive or negative, consumers will set that boundary. They'll tell Nintendo ultimately where the line is, and that's what they'll do.
Like, I'm very curious. I think Galaxy 1 and 2 will get away with the price points, and I think it's just because one, it's $40 individually to buy it on the eShop. A lot of people think these games are really great. There could be a lot of consumers that this is the first time they've ever played Galaxy 2. A Galaxy 1, it did come out on Switch, but it was a FOMO limited time release. So I do think that it's Mario. It's a bigger IP. I think that it'll be fine. What I am curious the most about are the $50 Kirby amiibos.
Can I touch on Galaxy real quick?
Yes.
Because I think it's super strategic because of the movie. I think they saw the increase of sales of new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe when the Super Mario Brothers movie came out, pushed that game into the top 10 for a while. I don't know if it's still there off the top of my head. And now they're releasing not only a Mario game, but a Mario game of the same exact name. Like, it seems so strategic in my mind that it's
actually smart. I think that's one of the smart business moves they're doing. The movie is called the Galaxy movie, right? And these games come out before then. They come out for this holiday. They're going to sell pretty well because of the holiday and all the hype. And then they're going to get that second boost right off the movie. Yeah. All the kids, all the parents watching.
So Josh also makes a great point too, as far as, so there is a factor to consider here. And that is that, and this is coming from, everybody's going to hang me now, coming from a classical 3D Mario hater a long time ago. But 3D Mario never sold as well as 2D Mario, but there's a game changer that just happened, and that's Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. So, changed everything.
Yeah. I think what Nintendo is trying to do is reintroduce some of the 3D Mario games from the past to get curmudgeons like me who are angry that you never gave me my fucking 2D Mario game on a console for 18 years. I'm sitting here on the Super Nintendo when I jumped the N64 being like, okay, this 3D Mario's, it's all right, but I can't wait to see what they do on the 64 with my 2D Mario. 18 years, asshole, is what they told me. So I was a bitter Betty about that for a long fucking time, and I'm not anymore because now I get my Wonder game, and we got a banger 3D Mario that finally makes that Z-axis work. I loved it. So there's a lot of people that may be revisiting 2D Mario, and so you could see a game that hell sold not even half of what New Super Mario Brothers Wii sold do pretty incredible post Odyssey. And the Mario movie, like Josh said, just going to propel it even further.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. Like, that's one of the smart things I think they did. And obviously for the 40th anniversary, and they said like the movies, like the, that's like the end, like that's their ultimate end for the anniversary. I'm really excited about the idea of these games reaching a new audience because, well, yeah, the 3D Marios have always sold well. They've kind of sold like Zelda. Like, it's good. It's just not good for Mario.
Compared to 2D Mario,
Mario sells way better. And we saw that when they came back. I guess after they made it miss it with like New Super Mario Bros. We literally just saw an explosion of sales, reminding Nintendo, "Hey, these sell way better than 3D."
They do.
And then they just slammed a bunch of New Super Mario Bros. Games, which I don't blame them because the sales don't lie. It was doing incredible. Like, why wouldn't you slam a bunch of those?
100%. But Odyssey is doing 2D Mario numbers for the first time.
Odyssey changed like the expectation.
It made 3D Mario a viable thing. It did.
Yeah.
Even I have to admit that.
Yeah. Odyssey and Breath of the Wild for the respective franchises.
Breath of the Wild, that's what I was talking about before Stash came on. Is so if you look at, so you mentioned that Breath of the Wild is the best-selling Zelda game of all time. It absolutely is. It's not even close.
Yeah. No.
What I will say though is we did have, if you adjust for the macroeconomics, if you adjust for population increase, the original Zelda sold 6.5 million copies in 1988, guys.
A lot back then. Yeah.
Now keep in mind that's with a cold market. That's with post crash. Nobody knew what the fucking Nintendo was. Nobody knew what the hell a Zelda was. So cold market. You've got half the world behind an iron curtain. You've got problems with getting into North America. Despite all of those obstacles, Nintendo sold 6, that adjusts to about 11.5 million copies when you adjust for them just on population. That adjusts for, let alone all the other factors. Then you have the cartridge shortage of 1988. So in 1988, you have it to where, hey, you couldn't even get some of these games and reprinted until 1990. So you could argue that games like Zelda 2, Zelda 1, Mario Brothers 1 and 2 were undersold, even at the time, demand. Yeah. So, Breath of the Wild, now, again, it's not close. Breath of the Wild is shattered Zelda 1, even with macroeconomics.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that Nintendo, when they want to, and that's what I loved about the Switch so much, is it was game after game like this, they can do these social phenomenons. They can do them. It's just a matter of needing to and wanting to, man.
Yeah. And I think those games are coming for Switch too, everyone. Like it's one of those, I think right now to make games like that, it takes longer in today's economy, in today's game development. It's taking longer and longer to make games, even for Nintendo. Furukawa was even talking about that last year, that like games are more expensive and they take longer to make. It is what it is. But Nintendo has this incredible thing where, unlike the other first party outlets, they have a lot of like B tier games that they can release frequently. And it's interesting because we all thought Like you go back to the initial speculation on Switch 2, it's delayed, it's this, it's that, and that's so they can have this incredible year one, mega ultimate, all these system sellers, and that's not really what they're going with besides Mario Kart. And I think that that's okay, because I think what Nintendo's trying to do right now is create those moments with other IP while the ones that they know will probably work get time to cook properly. Like bringing back 3D Donkey Kong. That was them trying to capture that moment for DK. Did they do it? We don't know, because it's too fresh. And what made Mario Odyssey, Zelda, etc. It wasn't just the initial sales; it was the evergreenness of these games that have never actually been evergreen in the past. And we don't know yet if DK is going to be evergreen. Mario Kart, we know it'll probably be bundled every holiday. It's going to probably continue to sell. This is just what Nintendo does with Mario Kart.
Mario Kart's going to be a monster.
Yeah. But even at $80, whatever, they're going to keep bundling in for $50. It's going to keep selling. But we know that's evergreen. Mario Kart's been proven time and time again to be an evergreen title. Maybe not the level it was on Switch. That was just unheard of. But it's always sold well. They've never had a problem selling Mario Kart.
No.
DK, I'm very curious. And now we got the DLC. That's cool. Does that mean there'll be more DLC for it in the future? We don't know. This is them, I think, trying to see, can we make Donkey Kong evergreen? Can we get a boost of sales this holiday because we're dropping this DLC right now? Can we see this be one of the best sellers this holiday? Can we see it bounce back with the Mario movie if DK's in the Mario movie as well? Like, can we make this an evergreen IP? And I think that's what they're starting to try to do with some of their B tier games, is take them to that next level, because that's basically, they did it with their A tier. Like Mario's always been A tier, but like their most expensive Mario games have never been able to sell as well as some of their cheaper ones, which are the side scrolling. Well, they proved it with Odyssey. They could do it. They proved it with Zelda. They could do it. Okay. And then they proved it with Splatoon. And Splatoon just continued to explode and grow. And now that's a 10, 15 million seller every time. Is Pokemon going to slow down now that it's more expensive? No, actually, Pokemon's going to start selling better than it's ever sold since.
Yeah, look at what is it? Luigi's Mansion 2 is a game that just took off on the Switch.
Dude, Luigi's Mansion 3, man. Oh, that blew up.
We need 4 badly.
Yeah, 4. Like they have all these system sellers now that we're anticipating off of Switch. Those games are going to come.
I never would have predicted Luigi's Mansion 3 would be a fucking system, but there it is.
Dude,
it's in there.
Dude, it blew up. So like that's incredible.
Awesome.
I think that what they're trying to do is, hey, can we make our B tier games do that as well? And if we can, and we give them the time to not be overshadowed by our biggest of the big.
So Rush Dog says he's on Liquored Up Live sometimes. He says DK getting a demo was a bad sign. Odyssey didn't need a demo. What do we think of that?
I don't think it's a bad sign, because I think Switch 2 is going to sell really well this holiday, regardless of anything, because they have a Pokemon bundle, and there's going to be a lot of people that want to upgrade. Pokemon fans are going to want to upgrade the Switch 2.
Pokemon will take care of
the best version of the game, right? And while that bundle's running, Mario Kart bundle is still going to at the same time. So I think it's going to actually sell incredibly well this holiday. And I think the idea is, when those new owners buy it, can we make them buy DK as their second game? Well, they might need to be sold on it. And to be sold on it, you got to try it. I think demos are a good thing.
So devil's advocate question. Do you think people will buy the Pokemon Legends game? That's one of those, Switch being its main competitor again. Are they going to, people going to stick with the Switch, or do you think they buy it for the Switch too?
So I think Switch 1's going to have the most sales for it. Like, that's just come on. The audience is too massive. It's going to have. We can
probably anticipate that someone will buy it for Switch 2 as well. Switch 2 for it as well.
Yeah. Well, we've seen even on the Amazon charts, like the bestseller charts, the ZA bundles, like way up there. We know people are buying it. Okay. I don't think it's going to outsell Switch 1 in terms of total sales. Like, it's too hard at this point. The install base isn't big enough. But I do think we're going to see, and this would be a win for Nintendo, a win for Pokemon Company and everything. I think it's going to be multiple millions that buy the ZA bundle.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing. That's what I always tell people, is there is another dog in this fight as the old Switch 1 curmudgeon. So keep in mind, yes, the Switch is competing with Switch 2, but guess who sells the Switch? Nintendo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And success for Switch is success for Nintendo.
I think after next year, I think they're going to go, because we know Tamagotchi Life is coming. I think Gen 10 Pokemon
thing's going to do monsters too.
Might end up on Switch 1 as well. But I think after next year, they're going to kind of just stop putting games on Switch 1. I think that's like Nintendo's plan. Like, we're going to keep it going while we try to build a 15, 20, 25 million install base. And then we're going to be like, okay, we're done now. We want everyone to buy Switch 2. Everything.
Lame.
Yeah, I mean that
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Business.
It's business, man. They got to do it me eventually somehow.
But I will. Here's the thing, though. See, here's the thing. This is what's the thing. But you're saying lame. You know what people thought was lame with PlayStation 5? That all the PS5 games were on PS4 for 5 years.
You're right. Actually, and it's so funny you mentioned that, Prime. I remember back in the day being super critical of Sony because God of War 2 was on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's super nice to PlayStation 2 owners. Why the fuck is that not on PlayStation 3? So you can't win. And
you can't win. Nintendo's strategy is our games sell systems. For our games to sell systems, we got to stop putting them on the old system. And
here's the other thing about the the whole division between Switch 1 and Switch 2 ultimately will pan out, I think, is when you do that, and Rush Dog actually, he just took it out of my mouth, which is Switch shouldn't be releasing Switch 1 and Switch 2 edition for Pokemon and Metroid. And again, it really depends on how they count those numbers, Rush, because I'm not sure how they count the numbers yet. But yeah, they should sell the Switch 2 edition only and explain to customers that Switch 2 version works on Switch 1. I could see that working. I could also see Soccer Mom Karen being really confused. I could see both ends of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still better than Wii U.
Well, okay. Everything's better than Wii U, unless it's your personal opinion on like really loving the system. Josh, what were we gonna say?
The thing that we're really seeing from them too is toys and like the flower, the amiibo. I mean, there's like close to $300 worth of amiibo that got announced in this thing. Like it almost feels like they're trying to supplement the low sales of Prime for potential low sales of Prime with amiibo. Like, and they're not. It's $100 for those 3 amiibo.
I don't even want to talk. Look,
So
for starters, I want to see what the price of the amiibo is in other countries. I haven't looked yet because I know we already saw a price increase with amiibo, and a lot of that was built off the tariffs because the amiibo are made in Japan and China, and there's like more extreme tariffs there than there is for some of the other places Nintendo gets their stuff made for the US. So I know some of that was driven by tariffs, but it's like 100% increase now, like 150, 200% increase of what it used to be, which the tariffs aren't that extreme. That we need that 200. I mean, there was at one point the way it was going back and forth with China, but that's not what everything settled down at. So it is obviously like there's greed involved here, and Nintendo obviously, I'm not immune to this guy. Nintendo's being greedy with these amiibo prices, absolutely. I also wonder, and I don't have the numbers. Nintendo doesn't ever share sales numbers of amiibo. I wonder if amiibo sales numbers have been like rapidly declining for a long time, regardless of the price. So they kind of figure, hey, for the hardcore that are still going to buy these, we need, let's get as much money as we can because the amiibo just aren't doing what they used to do. But we don't know 100% for sure if that's the case. Nintendo's never going to tell us. I am curious to see if Nintendo has now hit the point where amiibo just won't sell because of the prices, or is it going to prove to be completely irrelevant because people buy mostly as collector's items?
Thankfully, I'm safe from this issue. Thank goodness. Same with the Virtual Boy $100 thing. The reason I'm safe from it is I have a live-in girlfriend, and I have over 500 physical Switch games, guys. And you should have seen the little shelf that I had to put all my Switch games on. And I had to fucking fight to get these 2 bigger shelves in a study to put my Switch games on there. And so it's the same reason. It's just like VR. It's just like those adult toys. It's just like there is no way in hell that the living girlfriend is going to tolerate me with my head in this goofy looking thing. She comes home and have to explain to her shameful boyfriend.
Nah, you just got to invent the shrink ray from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So when she's going to be around, shit, let me shrink all this stuff quick. Oh, she's at work? Fuck yeah.
So I played Wonder. Like, I really loved Wonder, but I was under the impression that people did not like those talking flowers. Is that... Do people actually like them enough for the amiibo? Because
I love them. So here's the thing on the talking flowers. So this is what I've tried to explain this to the talking flower haters. I know a dude named I know a dude. He's an old blogger named Sean Malmstrom, right? And he hates these things. He hates these talking flowers.
Yep.
And you have to explain. It's like, look, dude, Mario comes from Alice in Wonderland. It's a literary nonsense trajectory. That's where Mario comes from. It's Arabian Nights. It's Gulliver's Travels. It's Alice in Wonderland. The talking flowers fit perfectly into the bizarre world of the mushroom or flower kingdoms. It's like, I get that the voice can be annoying, but it is so perfect. It's in the fucking name. They're going for Mario Wonder. It's Alice, except he's a plumber from Brooklyn. It's perfect, but yeah, I get people that don't like the voice, but if you understood the roots of Mario and the literary nonsense roots, they'd be fine with it.
Who the fuck is that?
The second time I watched the direct with my girlfriend's kids, the flower popped and they were like, "You're buying us that, right?" I was like, "Of course, I'll buy 3." Because there'll be one right behind me next to the piranha plant. So, like, I think that kind of stuff's working. I don't know that like Alarmo did super great for them, but they've told us like years ago that they were going to start expanding into different markets, and they're really doing that with the amusement parks, the movies, their Legos are going crazy. Game Boy's coming out soon. They're making money from that, and I've got the stack of Lego behind me there. It's small, but and a few more to build, the NES and Bowser. Like it, I feel like they're hedging their bets, knowing that like gaming is in such a strange place. Like especially right, I don't know if you guys are feeling this right now. And I'm so thankful that like I get codes sent to me, but like trying to purchase everything that got released this last week, like that is a hefty number when you're looking at like Chronos and Star Wars and Silk Song, and now we got new DLCs coming out, and Kirby DLC was just a week ago. Like all that stuff, like it's there's a lot to play right now. There is a whole lot, and then trying to find the time for all of it too. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna pump the brakes a bit, because like I'm gonna buy this, play it for 5 minutes to make a video about it, and then not touch it, right? And so it does where the other, where Xbox and Sony are like obviously Sony has other businesses and stuff that they're doing, and so does Microsoft, but you're not seeing their like. You're not seeing as many toys. They're tried with like Lego and Horizon, right? There was some of that stuff out there, but
wasn't that adorable?
It just doesn't have the pull that Nintendo has. So it was very cute.
They tried.
They did.
Yeah.
How? Oh, look at them try. look at them try to create social phenomenon over there on Sony. Oh, look at them.
Yeah. It's one of those things, when the flower thing, like as that story was talking about, and your friend's bitching about it, did he not aware that in the settings you could turn it off?
Yeah.
He just hates the talking flower with a passion. He thinks it's like anti-Mario, and it's like, no, buddy, it is as Mario as it gets. It's
Super Mario. Like it's very much like Mario.
This isn't what I want out of Mario. It's like I get that, but this is Alice in Wonderland, homie.
Wait until that flower thing becomes like one of the best-selling Nintendo toys of all time, because they put a Mario Wonder flower in that talks in the Galaxy, movie.
Yeah, they've always had stuff like Child Delphiniums and Sunshine.
I saw a post and it showed like the Lumen or whatever that star is called.
Yeah.
And it said, hey, they were actually teasing the sequel to Mario the whole time. They hid it behind the Yoshi egg, but they just didn't. They were already telegraphing it.
Well, technically, that was in the first movie. It was in a cage. It was a funny moment. It was a really funny moment, because it was like, oh, dude, is that thing on crack right now? The way it's talking. This is awesome. Right. It was one of the funniest moments in the movie, because you would never think that would talk that way after Galaxy. And you're like, oh shit, they're going hardcore with this. And now it's in the next movie, and it's like, okay, what kind of other crazy shit's coming out of that thing's mouth? I can't wait.
Right. More evidence of the talking flower in literary nonsense roots. Here's another one, guys. This is Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz in the poppy fields, the laughing flowers. It's all right there, man.
Yeah. He's also commentating in the new tennis game.
Yeah,
that's
talking
awesome.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's
I didn't
commentating.
catch that. Wow.
I will point out that, like, because I originally brought up like the price point stuff on some of this. More so, I'm not actually that upset about any of the price of the games. I'm actually pretty happy with the way a lot of the pricing went on the games. But like with some of the amiibo and all that, I'll just throw out there that I feel like, the pricing seems shocking when amiibo used to be $15. The $50 ones are very shocking, but then there's also, these are the most complex amiibo they've ever made. They're swappable. You can swap the characters on them. So they have magnets involved. I'm not saying magnets are super expensive, but magnets involved, microchips involved, lots of different stuff. I will note that in the end, like, no matter what anyone says about pricing, just like they said about the price of Mario Kart, just like they said about the price of the system or wherever else, the market will ultimately determine if Nintendo's pricing this stuff correctly.
Yep.
So if the stuff goes on to sell well, then it sells well, and you can be mad about it. But if people think it's worth the money and they have the money and they can buy it, then hey, you know what? It is what it is. Like, the market always corrects itself if things are not priced correctly. It happens all the time, and this goes back to like economics class. Like, there's multiple different ways to approach selling things, right? Like, you could sell things at lower prices and hope you sell a shitload of them,
right?
Like barely profitable, but you sell like 30 million of them, so that's $30 million off $1 profitability. Or you sell things more expensive but sell less of them, but then also get the same profits. There's like different strategies in the market. It seems like Nintendo will be leaning towards that second strategy more the longer amiibos are out. But I also feel like it's all about what the market will bear. And if the market doesn't, like, Nintendo has probably already seen a little bit. We've had $30 and $40 amiibos already this generation. It was already happening from day one with the new amiibo that we were getting on Switch 2. Like, we literally this isn't new pricing, guys. When we see the $50 ones are, but the 30 and the 40, we've already been getting that. That's not new. And Nintendo already has data. And if that data is telling them, hey, the market's bearing the cost of these, then it's the correct decision for them to keep those price points.
So here's a fun story that actually might bear that out. It's from Robert Cialdini's book Influence. Great book, by the way. If you guys have never checked this out, amazing fucking book. But in this book, he's looking at the compare and contrast principle in terms of persuasion and influencing. The lady went on vacation who owned a jewelry store, and she couldn't sell this turquoise jewelry. So finally, she hastily wrote a note saying, mark this down 50%. That way we can get rid of it and get room for more inventory. She came back. Jewelry had all sold out. She said, oh, great. But it wasn't sold at 50%. She accidentally put 150%. So she marked it up. And it sold because you had tourists who showed up, saw the upgraded value, thought it was expensive, and considered that to be a valuable piece or a more ritzy piece because of that, and bought it all up. I'm not saying Nintendo's doing that, but it does show you that sometimes higher pricing can work in favor of a company.
Absolutely.
The other thing to consider on this is the fact that it's my friend V has a theory called will capture theory, and that is that as this economy worsens for many people, more and more money is stratified at the top echelons of society. And so a certain segment of the population has all the money, especially given the fact that Europe and America are going through a credit crunch right now. It's harder to get credit to buy things, on credit card, etc. So more and more of the wealth is sanctioned up at the very top amount. And so they're not really, it could explain why some of these companies, including video game companies, are no longer looking for the expanded audience like I love to talk about. Maybe they're looking for that specific segment that has all the money and marketing and leveraging those customers because they have it, and they'll buy whatever because it doesn't matter to them. They have all the money. So I'm not sure if that's entirely true, but it's one theory as to why everything is moving in this direction.
It's kind of the line that Nintendo walks with the variable pricing too, like you were talking about, where it's nice that things can be cheaper than, $6 and $70, but when something is less than you might have expected, then maybe you don't think it's as good.
Exactly.
I mean, at the other side, you're having panic attacks.
You see
you think Metroid's going to be 80. You're like, holy cow, nobody's going to buy that. But also, it might be worth 80. So it's interesting how the consumer will take that and run with it. But,
yeah, absolutely.
And Final Fantasy, it's coming in at 40 right now. If you do the early, like basically, if you pre-order it, they called it like early. They had some strange name for it.
Well, because you get the original Final Fantasy.
With that. And that probably won't be that way after launch. So yeah, that's just like a cool thing they're doing now.